Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Lots of big topics to discuss on today's show, but before we get into that, please do me one small favour, smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please also make sure you hit the subscribe button. Right. We're of course going to react to the news story that broke last night regarding Omar Berrada reportedly flying to Barcelona to interview Xavi for the Manchester United job. Now, always, I like to get you guys, the fans, the opinion. I want you to get in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on Xavi. How do you feel about this story about Manchester United reportedly sending Omar Berrada to Barcelona to interview Xavi for the Manchester United job? So this is coming out from a couple of different journalists, some quite reliable, some not so reliable. But the main person who put this out is Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail. And he does seem to get some quite good information around the club at the moment. So he is reporting that, as I said, Manchester United sent Omar Berrada, who's obviously the CEO of Manchester United, to Barcelona to interview Xavi to become the Manchester United manager, or at least to potentially become the Manchester United manager. Now, I want to get your initial reaction on that. How do you feel about the idea of Xavi being effectively the replacement for Erik ten Hag? Now, I want to say this from the off. I don't think Xavi's any better than Erik ten Hag, personally. I know there's some people, and I understand it, there's some people in the fan base who are just like, I want Ten Hag gone, I'm desperate, I don't care anymore. I saw some people in the comment section saying that Graham Potter and Gareth Southgate are better than Erik ten Hag. It's got to that point now where the people who want Erik ten Hag gone are so fixated on it that they'll take anything, So that's fine. That's up to you. If you hate Erik ten Hag that much, then, and you want Gareth Southgate instead, or you want Graham Potter, then that's up to you, Obviously, I can't... it's just an opinion, isn't it? Do I think Xavi is better than Erik ten Hag? I don't think he is, personally. Is he any worse? I'm not sure. I wouldn't say that he's levels better or levels worse. I would say he's maybe on a relatively level playing field. But if you look at his kind of history as a manager, he obviously managed in Qatar for quite a while, didn't he? For Al Sadd SC. Okay. So he was there since 2019, and then in 2022 he moved to Barcelona. He won the La Liga, which was great, and he also won the Spanish Super Cup. So he did quite well in his first season. But then last season it all started to fall apart, and the main reason why Xavi left Barcelona was because he couldn't handle the pressure of managing a club like Barcelona, the media, the public scrutiny, the constant berating from the press, writing stories about him, about his family, whatever. He couldn't handle it. Now, whether you think he's a better manager or not is kind of irrelevant, because the reason he left Barcelona was because he couldn't handle the pressure of managing a team of that stature. What happens when he comes to Manchester United, who, let's be honest, right? I know Barcelona have got a massive fan base, but the media in England, the second he comes through the door, he will be absolutely berated non-stop. You've seen how Erik ten Hag's been treated by the media. Do you not remember in his first season, we lost the first game against Brighton, and you had Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher going to Carrington, literally interrogating Erik ten Hag on Sky Sports. Do you remember that? Literally one game into Erik ten Hag's tenure. And that's what you'll get if you come and manage in England for a big club. Obviously, if you are someone like Unai Emery, you go to a big club like Arsenal and it fails and you get sacked. You go to Aston Villa, who, let's be honest, yes, they've won a Champions League, but they're not as big a club as Arsenal. They can kind of go under the radar. He goes to Aston Villa and he does an amazing job. There are some managers who just can't handle the spotlight. They can't handle the limelight of managing for a massive football club. And to be honest, I actually think that Erik ten Hag does handle himself quite well. I know he's frustrating. I know some of the stuff he says in press conferences is annoying and repetitive, but he seems to handle himself okay mentally, whereas Xavi just wasn't. Xavi was in a really bad way, in a really bad place. Do you not remember? He originally said that he was going to leave Barcelona in the middle of the season because he couldn't handle the pressure. And then they decided that he might stay, and then he might go, and then he might stay. And it was just a complete mess. And we don't need a situation like that. We need a manager who is able to conduct himself in the correct way. And I don't think that Xavi is that person. So I'm a little bit surprised that Man United, are actively looking at Xavi. I think it's a little bit strange, especially as like I said, when you look at the track history that he left the club because he couldn't handle the pressure. Like, why would we bring him to a club where there's even more pressure? He would, in my opinion, suffer. He would crumble. He would fall apart at Manchester United. If he fell apart at Barcelona, the scrutiny at Manchester United is going to be even worse. So, do I think he's a good manager? I think he's a decent manager. In theory, do I think he'd be an interesting option to replace Ten Hag in the future? Maybe. But when we actually look at it from on a human level, you've got somebody who can't handle the pressure of a major club. Why would you take that chance? Why would you take that risk? It just doesn't make sense to me. So for me, Xavi to Manchester United is no. It's a definite no. Yeah, I just think it's too much of a risk. I just don't think Manchester United. I just don't think it's a sensible decision. But the story here also says that apparently Manchester United or Omar Berrada is also spoken to. Where has it gone? I've just lost the story. Where are you, story? Come back. Where are you? Yeah, here we go. So apparently he's also spoken to Ruben Amorim and Edin Terzic, as well as Thomas Frank. From those list of names, right? Edin Terzic, no. Thomas Frank, obviously he's done a good job at Brentford, but no, not for me. Xavi, not for me because of his, as we said, inability to manage a top club and handle the pressure. The only name on that list that remotely interests me is Ruben Amorim. I think the job that he's done at Sporting Lisbon has been absolutely phenomenal. And he's doing an incredible job with Sporting Lisbon this season as well. So from those list of 4 names, I think he is probably the most, interesting option. And obviously Man City apparently are trying to sign him as well, as a potential replacement for Pep Guardiola in the future. So he definitely has that kind of presence and that aura, doesn't he, where... I think he could come to a team like Manchester United. And if he was given time, which some Man United fans won't give him, I reckon he could do well. He won the Portuguese league last season. He's currently sat, I think he's still top of the Portuguese league. Yeah, he's still top of the Portuguese league at the moment by 3 points ahead of Porto. So yeah, he's doing decent. He's doing a good job. And I think he'd be an interesting option. But as it stands at the moment, I think all we can really do is just get behind the team and hope that we go on a bit of a run, because the next kind of 5 or 6 fixtures, I would say, are winnable. I know no game is winnable as a Manchester United fan at the moment. We feel like we're absolutely doomed, but we play West Ham on Sunday, tomorrow, right? And then after that, we've got 4 home games in a row. We've got Leicester at home, then we've got Chelsea at home, then we've got PAOK, and then we've got Leicester again in the Premier League. So we've got 4 home games. Obviously, you expect to beat Leicester City both games. You expect to beat PAOK both in that game. And then you obviously hope to at least get a draw, if not a win against Chelsea, although it would be a difficult fixture. So, when you look at the next 5 or 6 fixtures as a whole, and then we also play Ipswich Town after that, like, this is make or break here for Erik ten Hag, this little run of games. If he can get some wins out of these games, if we beat Leicester in the Premier League, we beat Chelsea in the Premier League, we beat West Ham in the Premier League, we could be a couple of points off top 4 and our season looks completely different. If we lose those games, I don't see how he would keep his job, to be honest. If we were to lose against Leicester, lose against West Ham and lose against Chelsea, we could literally be in the relegation zone. So yeah, it's up to him really now. It's up to him to prove himself, the players to prove themselves. But it is interesting to see that Man United are actively looking at managers again, which is a little bit surprising. But, at the same time, you do have to do your due diligence. I remember it's famous that Brighton always know who their next manager is. They already know who the replacement's going to be. So if somebody gets sacked, they'll know exactly who the next person's going to be in line. So I don't have a massive problem with it. Some will say it's disrespectful to Ten Hag, but at the end of the day, we are sat 12th in the Premier League and 22nd in the Europa League. So it's not like we're top of the league and top of the Europa League and they're looking at other managers. We had a terrible season last year. We've had a really poor start to this season. So you can't really complain that they're at least considering other options. I think that probably is the sensible thing to do, because if this run of next 6 games goes badly, like I said, I don't see how you could get behind him and back him. If we were to lose, these next 5 fixtures really, isn't it, until the next international break, West Ham, Leicester, Chelsea, PAOK and Leicester again, yeah, so fingers crossed we go on a bit of a run. Fingers crossed we turn things round. But I think if we don't turn things round in these next 5 games, I think he's probably gone, to be honest, because, yeah, the fact that they're looking at other managers kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Whether you want that to happen or not, it's kind of gone past that point. What else have we got? What have we got in the chat today? I mean, most people in the chat today seem to be quite aggressively saying that they want him to be sacked. Okay, that's fine. That's up to you. Zane says, doesn't Sporting Lisbon play a 5-back, though? If we were to bring in Ruben Amorim, we would need to sign more centre-backs. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? And that's one of the things that makes me reluctant to sack a manager is you spend £600 million on players for a manager, right? And then after 2 years, you sack him. And then someone like Ruben Amorim comes in and says, I play a different formation. I have a different setup. I need different profiles of players. He might say, you know, Højlund doesn't work. You know, this is just me giving an example, but he might come in and just say, you know, these players don't work. I need new players. And then you're kind of starting again. Sam says, what about Simeone Inzaghi from Inter Milan? Again, another manager who plays a 5-back, which would probably mean somebody said buying loads of new players, changing the system, changing the kind of players that we need. But yeah, I mean, it'd be an interesting option. I wouldn't be against the 5-back. I think a 5-back probably would be quite good for Manchester United. But then the thing is, right, the same people who want Erik ten Hag sacked, say Ruben Amorim gets the job, within a month they'll be complaining that we're playing a 5-back. And they'll be like, oh, it's boring, it's too defensive, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the reality of it, you know? But yeah, at the end of the day, it's gone past the point of what we think as fans. These next 5 fixtures will decide Erik ten Hag's future. I don't believe in this whole like, oh, it's the next fixture, he'll get sacked if he loses to West Ham. I don't think Ineos are looking at things like that. I think they'll look at it at this next block of 5 games. If we beat West Ham, then you've got the EFL Cup, then Chelsea, then a Europa League game at home, and then Leicester in the Premier League. Like, for me personally, he has to beat West Ham. He has to beat Leicester in both of those fixtures. He's got to beat. We've got to get at least 4 wins out of the next 5 games, I think. And then 1 draw against Chelsea would probably be acceptable. Anything less than that, like if we were to lose to West Ham tomorrow and then, you know, lose to Leicester City in the League Cup, like, and then in the next couple of games you lose as well, I think he probably would be gone personally. But yeah. But it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on this. Let's move on to Amad Diallo really quickly. So it's looking really, really strange about Amad Diallo, isn't it? A player who most Manchester United fans thought was going to have a breakthrough season, and he seems to have clearly fallen out with the manager, or something's gone down, which has meant that Amad Diallo is not getting picked. I don't know. Hopefully more of this story will come out. It feels a little bit like a Jadon Sancho situation all over again, where we're all sat here scratching our heads. I think with Jadon Sancho it was a little bit more obvious because he was you know, not playing very well and, you know, supposedly turning up late for training and all of these other things. But with Amad Diallo, like, there isn't an obvious reason. So yeah, it's a little bit worrying. Let me have a look. Right then, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys, though. Thank you very much for joining me on the show today. Please do get in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on Xavi. Do you want Javi to be the next Manchester United manager? Thank you very much. I'll speak to you all soon. Don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all on the next one. Bye for now.